Welcome back and prepare to be bedazzled because today I'm going to be shedding light on how working a real private sector employee job based on voluntary demand for an 8-hour employee shift that pays a gross wage of $15 per hour for 8 hours of the employee shift can net you around $6 per hour during the employee work session. So how is this possible, you may ask? Without further ado, without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now. First and foremost, real private sector employers are keen on configuring their workers as independent contractors in lieu of employees. You may be doing work that's tantamount to the employees of the company. However, you are configured as an independent contractor during the employee shifts in lieu of being configured as an employee. The real private sector employers are keen on minimizing their labor costs. So when you account for the evisceration fees of people who work real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, pay and receive absolutely nothing for paying, it is significantly going to reduce your net wage. Furthermore, you also need to take into account the fuel and oil that you expend to drive to and from the employer's distant job site. You also need to take into account the hour unpaid break that the employer renders compulsory for you to take. So if you were doing the 8-hour employee shift remotely as an independent contractor on behalf of an employer, it would be a duration of 8 hours. On the other hand, if you're doing the 8-hour employee shift at an employer's distant job site, it is essentially commensurate to an 11-hour employee work session, because you're going to expend 2 hours driving to and from the employer's distant job site, and then you're going to take an hour unpaid break at the employer's distant job site. During the hour unpaid break at the employer's distant job site, you're essentially metaphorically tethered to the employer's distant job site. You don't have access to your desktop at the employer's distant job site. So if you were able to take an hour unpaid break at your residence, and you would have access to your desktop, which would furnish you with an opportunity to work in other capacities amid the hour unpaid break. Most employers render it compulsory for their real private sector employees and their workers who are configured as independent contractors to take an hour unpaid break at the employer's distant job site. So an 8-hour employee shift can turn into an 11-hour employee work session, and when you account for tire rotation costs and the cost to replace defective vehicle parts and the cost to replenish fuel and the cost to replenish oil, you can easily ascertain that you may net around $6 per hour during the employee work session, especially when they have you configured as an independent contractor who's doing work that is tantamount to the employees. So an 8-hour employee shift at an employer's distant job site can become an 11-hour employee work session, and you are accruing car depreciation costs, and you're wearing out your tires, you're wearing out your vehicle parts, you're depleting oil, you're depleting fuel, and you need to replenish your oil and your fuel, and you're going to eventually need to replace your vehicle parts once they become defective. So there are an exorbitant amount of costs associated with working real private sector employee jobs based on voluntary demand at the employer's distant job site, which is now within the vicinity where you're domiciled at. So I hope that you deem this video to be riveting, captivating, mesmerizing, enthralling, engrossing, intriguing, and amusing. You can easily ascertain how you can net around $6 per hour during the employee work session if you work a real private sector employee job based on voluntary demand at an employer's distant job site during an 8-hour employee shift, which is essentially commensurate to an 11-hour employee work session, because the employer is mandating you to drive to and from his distant job site, and also take an hour unpaid break when you're already at his distant job site. Thanks for watching. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.